What's going on, everybody? Steve V here with another video. I hope everybody's doing well out there. So, in today's video, I'm going to tell you guys why I might have to sell the majority of my Arcade1Up collection in about 5 years. I'll let you guys know the reason right after this. So welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks so much for checking out this video today. I appreciate it, as always. Now we're going to talk about the topic at hand, and that is why in about 5 years I might have to sell the majority of my Arcade1Up collection. I know it sucks, but it's partially my fault, and also I knew this was coming. So I'll explain to you guys what I mean by that. I'm going to give you guys a little context on the Mancave Arcade first, and how this place kind of, was supposed to be one thing, but then kind of slowly turned into something else. And it was something that was not really my intent, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just get kind of swooped into a passion for something, and that passion kind of takes control of your life, and then you're in a situation like I am right now. So, in 2014, when I bought this house, I knew I wanted to have a man cave in this basement. Now, my idea for what this man cave was going to be was, I knew I wanted to have a television down here for obviously hosting, sporting events and stuff like that. I knew I wanted to have some bar games down here, like a pool table, dartboard, that alley-oop basketball game. I know that's not necessarily a bar game, but it's something that is very man cave-ish, so I knew I wanted to have that down here. Foosball table, that was something that from day one I actually had. Because I had one when I was at my parents' house, and that obviously came with me when I moved and bought this house. But another thing I wanted to have down here was some arcade machines. And there was a company that was making not necessarily a 3/4 scale, just a smaller version of an actual arcade machine. They were making like a multicade. They had one that looked like the class of 81, but it was a 60-in-1. That was something I was thinking about bringing down here. They were just making stuff like that was very intriguing to me. And basically, that's what I wanted this man cave to be. It was going to be something that had a little bit of everything. There was going to be some small things kind of peppered in, and that was including the arcade machines. It was going to be something that was maybe in a corner, and it was just kind of meant to be a spot where people could come and play some games and entertain themselves, maybe in between, halftime or certain periods, or if we're watching the fights, if you're waiting for a fight, something you can just go and play some games. Now, as the years kind of progressed, then Arcade1Up came on the scene, and that really changed things up for me, because this company that I was looking into, where I was thinking about buying that multicade, which was, 1,000 something, Arcade1Up was making these 3/4 scale cabinets of specific games, and having the cabinets look the way I remember seeing these real arcade cabinets looking. They were making an affordable option to basically get these games and cabinets into my space. So when Arcade1Up showed up in 2018, I was intrigued, and by 2019 I was off to the races. I bought Mortal Kombat 2. That was the first cabinet I bought. I ended up actually going to the States to pick that up because it wasn't available in Canada yet. And I didn't know if it was coming to Canada because it was a new company. I didn't really know what their idea was as far as expanding. Within a few months, Mortal Kombat 2 was here in Canada, but I had it early. And then a couple weeks after getting Mortal Kombat 2, I went to my local Walmart, got Pac-Man, Street Fighter 2, a little bit after that, got the Turtles and Star Wars. I was off to the races after that. So this idea of basically having this man cave where, like I said, I had certain things kind of peppered in, the Arcade1Up situation was growing rapidly. And it really was something that, even up until now, I just really had a passion for these games and for these cabinets, and they were making, these products that were really tugging on my nostalgia, and before you know it, I went from, just those 4 or 5 cabinets in 2019 to having 14 cabinets in 2023. So it really grew, and my Arcade1Up collection has basically took over this basement. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's something that just did not go with my initial plan. And the problem with that is I kind of knew, down the line with me and my wife, I knew we were going to have kids. And, we have a little son now. And I basically knew that this basement was on borrowed time. Because I knew that as my son got older, 5, 6 years old, he was going to need a spot where he could come and play with his friends and family. And the basement was going to be that spot. So the fact that I filled this basement with a ton of Arcade1Up cabinets, I kind of knew that it was going to be an issue at some point, because I knew a lot of the stuff that I had down here, I was going to have to move to another space in the future. And the space that I'm thinking I'm going to have to move into is just a very, small. Well, the room itself is actually a decent sized room. It's a spare bedroom that we have in the house, but half of it is an office and the other half is the spare bedroom. And I'm thinking I could probably get rid of the bed that's in there, because me and my wife, we have a cot that if people come over, me and her can stay on the cot, and then people could use our bedroom. So I'm thinking I could take that space, the office slash spare bedroom, and kind of turn that into a smaller man cave, where I can bring, a lot of my die-cast models and figures and collectibles into that spot, and kind of have it be a small little man cave. But obviously, with 14 Arcade1Ups, I can't bring all 14 up there. I would be lucky if I could fit about 6 in that space. So that's where I'm kind of running into a situation where now it's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to sell? Obviously, my game plan is, in a 5-year period. So obviously, I have not made that decision yet. But I do know that what I have down here is not sustainable for the future. So yeah, I'm in a bit of a pickle, and I definitely have to figure out what I'm going to keep, because I do love these products, and I really enjoy playing them, and I know that I definitely want to keep some to have as long as they're working. So the one that I know for sure I'll probably keep is the Class of 81, or I'm going to say Miss Pac-Man as well, even though I don't have Miss Pac-Man, because I'm kind of in the middle of deciding about getting one of the deluxe cabinets, and I believe I'm going to replace my Class of 81 with either the deluxe Class of 81 or the Miss Pac-Man cabinet. Now, whatever situation I do, I definitely know I'm going to keep that cabinet. I have a ton of nostalgia for, Miss Pac-Man and Galaga. I love the artwork, which Class of 81 and Miss Pac-Man obviously have that artwork. Obviously, Class of 81 only has it on one side, but I love Galaga, and I'm fine with the Galaga artwork on the other side as well. And like I was telling you guys, initially, that's what I thought I was going to have in the space, was a cabinet that looked like the Class of 81, but it was a 60-in-1. Speaking about 60-in-1, I have a cocktail table that's a 60-in-1. I know I'm going to keep that. These cabinets behind me are definitely in the running as far as being kept as well. I love these bar games, Golden Tee, Big Buck, Ridge Racer, and the pinball table. So right then and there, I'm already up to 5 Arcade1Up cabinets and the cocktail table. So that would leave me one more to pick, and I don't really know. I don't know what I'm going to do. So it's definitely going to be a tricky situation. I'm definitely going to have to really think through what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll be lucky and be able to fit 7, and that way it's a little bit easier, but I know no more than that. It would be very, very tight. And if I pick any of the 4 players, it's going to be an even smaller amount of cabinets, because they obviously take up more room. So it's going to be a tough situation, but I knew this was coming, and obviously with me collecting as many Arcade1Ups as I've collected, I knew at some point it was going to be a situation where I was going to have to decide on what I would be willing to keep and what I would be willing to part with. Now, because I did mention that this is probably going to be a 5-year situation, and probably I would say maybe within the 3rd to 4th year is when I'm going to have to start kind of maybe, taking some of these cabinets and putting them up for sale. I do have at least another 2 years where I can enjoy the amount that I have down here, but I definitely can't go past this amount. So, which it was already my plan not to go past this amount. But then again, I was going to stop at 10, and then I ended up at 14. So, yeah, that's what happens when you're addicted to something. I really love these products, and I was truly addicted for a while. So, but now reality has finally sunk in, and I really do have to decide on what the future is going to hold for my Arcade1Up hobby, and which ones really do mean the most to me, so that way I can find them that new home in the new room and enjoy them there. Another thing that I have to mention though is with this situation that I'm telling you guys about, it's really kind of opened the door for me to maybe bring in at least one multicade. Now I understand the Arcade1Ups technically are multicades, there's like 14 games and all that stuff, but I'm talking about like a multicade with like hundreds and thousands of games. And that has kind of really made me start looking at the At Games Legends Ultimate a little bit differently than what I was originally looking at it as. I mean, I always kind of had interest in a multicade, but with the At Games Legends Ultimate, I never pulled the trigger on it because, number one, it was a little bit bulkier than the rest of the Arcade1Ups, but also I just didn't like the way it looked because, and this is all personal opinion, I'm not saying that it's like ugly, I'm just saying that the way I was buying my cabinets was based on nostalgia and how they aesthetically looked like something that I remembered from the past. Or what At Games is doing is they're making a multicade, so it's not meant to look like anything other than a cabinet that plays multiple games. And that's exactly what it looks like. You have, a couple characters there on the side, it's black, you got some names on the front panel there, and it's just meant to be a cabinet that just does the job for whatever games you want to play. Obviously it comes with 300 games, but you can add more. So this is something where now I'm kind of debating on maybe bringing that in, because if I am going to have to part with the majority of my Arcade1Ups, I don't want to lose the ability to play those games. So I might have to part with one of the Arcade1Ups that would be part of my 6 or 7 that I would be taking to that space, and get the At Games Legends Ultimate to kind of take one of those spots. So that's also something I'm thinking about too. We'll see what happens. But again, this is a 5-year plan, probably starting within the 3-year mark, and then from there we're going to see what happens. But it's definitely something where I do have to be kind of thinking about this situation now, because obviously the more stuff I bring down here, the harder it's going to be to try to like find room for it in that space and kind of figure out what is worth taking and what's worth getting rid of. And I'm saying that with everything, not necessarily just the Arcade1Ups. I'm talking about just all my collections in general. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation, but it is something that's going to happen, and it's going to be a game changer. So the Mancave Arcade obviously will not be lost. The Mancave Arcade will still be around, but it will be changing to something new and something a little more compact in the future. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to consist of, but I know it's going to be a lot smaller, and I'm okay with that because it's going to provide my son with a space where he can really enjoy himself, run around, hang out with his friends and family. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.